Let's see. Check, check, check. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I'm back. Uh, Sorry about that, folks. I didn't realize my mic was unplugged. So yeah, so should be good now. Sorry about that. You guys have been watching this stream with no audio, and I've been giving all these breakdowns of the players, and it's all been silent. Well, I apologize about that, but we were able to get it figured out. I realized that I had taken my laptop with me and my mic was not plugged in. So we're back to the Steelers now. So good picks. I'll just do a quick review of kind of what I said on some of the players. So 49ers took Conway. I really liked the center that the Chiefs took. His speed was a little, or his strength was a little bit under, and I said he was a little bit undersized. To have that strength. So 78 strength with an undersized guy. I was saying if he's a little bigger bodied, you could probably get away with it more. But that guy will definitely develop, and he's already great blocking skill. We'll need to pick up his endurance a little bit. Conroy, let's look at him again. So just a quick run through. So Conroy, he was the linebacker. I liked him. 70 speed. He's got a versatile frame. I think you could do, maybe, well, no, he's a little undersized to play defensive end, so you wouldn't want to put him at defensive end, but good speed and tackling. His endurance is great, so he'll be a good player for the 49ers. Um, Eagles took Walker. I like his strength, but he's going to have to work really hard on agility and speed, and he's going to need to pick up his endurance as well. But that strength is good for D end. So he's got a decent frame at 260 pounds, but he's slow. So you'd maybe if you're going, he's strong enough though that he'll be able to plug some holes. So depending on how he's utilized, I mean, you could definitely find a way to utilize this player, Robert Walker. So on to the Bills. And the Bills wide receiver speed and agility, I think those will tick up, but he's gonna need some time to develop before really being wide receiver. He's got to get his hands up. So I was saying he's got to get his hands at least to 75 before I'd utilize him as a wide receiver personally. So he's got some work to do, but he's got the raw clay to work with. So he's definitely got stuff you can work with as a player, but he's going to take some time. So that's going to take us down to the Saints. And I was saying strength, another defensive end. I like his speed. Strength is 76, so a little bit under, but his intangibles are impeccable. He's going to need to pick up his endurance, but he's smart for the position. 61 is pretty smart for a defensive end. Strength is decent enough. So this guy, I think, will develop, especially with those intangibles. Solid pick, I'd say, at D end. And he's only 20 years old, so he's got a window to develop. So, and on top of that, is he 305 pounds? So 305 pounds at a defensive end. So the last defensive end that was taken was 260 pounds. So this guy's pretty solid. 305 pounds. I like this player. I really do like this player. Tick up his endurance, and you're gonna have a solid player. I'd maybe try to get him in the rotation early and see what he can do. See if he can develop a little quicker that way. So that's who we were just looking at. So now we were finally on to the Saints. Let's get that done. And or the Steelers. So Steelers take a defensive end as well. West Virginia, Joe Clement, 82 strength. His speed and agility is maybe a little under 2. Endurance as well. He's going to need to work on that, but he's got to get intangibles. So he'll be a pretty solid player. I'd say you should see him develop a little bit, but he is a little slow. I don't like that so much. He's 272 pounds, so decent frame, but slow for the frame. So that 305-pound guy with 72 speed, that's pretty solid in my opinion. So that's going to bring us to the Ravens, and the Ravens are going with Roger Lake out of Texas Tech. So I know that's the guy that Jedi was hoping would make it onto his squad, but I'd say linebacker, 228 pounds, 66 speed, 65 strength. So decent, but he's going to need to improve his speed and agility for sure. He seems to have most everything else that you need in a linebacker, but he needs to pick up that speed and agility. I think his strength is solid for the linebacker position. You could maybe consider putting him at end in spots because he's 228 pounds, so maybe, like passing down 3-3-5 end or something like that. And that's going to put us on to the Chargers. And they made some moves a little bit as well before we got to the second round, but it didn't affect anybody's draft positions. So that's going to be a defensive tackle, August Chan, out of Wisconsin, and he's going to have some work to do as well. What's that? 295, pretty good size. He's got potential to get to 70 speed, which would be pretty decent. But he's needs to work on his strength really bad. That's pretty much that guy's just got to hit the weight room hard, try to get that strength up above 80. And that's the other thing, that defensive end I really liked earlier, that's 305 pounds with 72 speed. I would consider moving him and getting him some training at defensive tackle as well. So that takes us on to the Patriots. Patriots here goes Odom. That's going to be Samuel Odom out of Florida State. So running back, this guy set a lot of records. He was a solid player in a championship squad. Racked up a ton of yards, and looks like he'll be I like this player. So 72 hands, 76 strength, 83 speed, 83 agility. So he's going to have to work on his position skill, but that'll happen naturally. And his endurance is a little bit under, so he's going to have to improve in the endurance department. But solid player, I'd say. You can use him out of the backfield. He's got power to be a power runner. He's got good size. I think they got a winner here in New England. So AI picks up Odom, and he was rated to go 4th round, I believe, and he ended up moving up pretty high into the 2nd round. So nobody thought that was a reach, though. I mean, that running back, I was surprised. I was honestly surprised to see him as a 4th round projection just because of his credentials, but maybe he had a bad pro day and combine. So on to the Packers. And we're going with Ward Reynoso out of Houston. His strength's a little under, and he's going to want to get his endurance up. Love his intangibles, though, so he could improve. He could develop, and he's only 21 years old, so it's good age. He's only 285 pounds, though, which I don't love, especially his speed and agility aren't great. So he does have a few knocks on him, but he could develop. But I'd say he's going to have a decent development timeline. You're looking at like a 4-year project, in my opinion. With some of this stuff, you're going to want to get this up to 85, I'd say, somewhere in there. Well, higher the better with a guy being undersized. So the higher you can get the strength, if he's undersized, the better. He'll develop pass and run blocking and should be all right there. His endurance should improve. He's got the intangibles. So if he puts in the work, I think you could see him playing, but he is going to be a bit of a project, especially because that speed and agility's low and his size is not great. Um, Especially compared to some of these others. I think Washington's line averages like 320 pounds or something. So pretty solid. But we're on to the Cardinals now, and that's going to be Thomas Edward out of Texas. Speed's pretty good. Agility's a little under. Strength, don't love that. His tackling's nice for free safety, so you could consider moving him to corner if you wanted. He's really going to need to improve that agility, though, but I'd say a solid raw player that's definitely going to develop and should end up getting some play time as the years come along. So on to the Buccaneers at 44, so 12th pick of the second round. The Bucs are going to take Wally Wood. Wow. I can I just pause for a second and say that this name is awesome? Wally Wood. I can just imagine the announcers having a great time with Wally Wood over there. So Wallywood and Bollywood, and then in Hollywood will probably be some sort of sign that a fan puts up in the air. But I like that name. It really rolls off the tongue. So defensive tackle, 82 strength. Like that. His size is nice. His speed's good. So his speed is in the range that it's possible. I don't know if I'd say probable, but if he gets to 70 speed and 90 strength, you've got yourself a winner of a defensive tackle, in my opinion. And he's got the best name in the draft, that's for sure, Wally Wood. Well, I guess I shouldn't speak too soon, but so far, Wally Wood, I love that name. So, and he's out of Georgia State, so small school guy, ending up at pick 12 in the second round, and I'd say that's pretty solid pick. So on to the Broncos. So Broncos taking Brad Marks out of Georgia Southern, so another small school, and I think this is a bust because his strength, I mean, he's never going to get strength good enough to consistently be a starter, in my opinion. So unfortunately, I look at this guy. He's got great intangibles. I mean, he's got some things you like, but that strength's just never going to get there. So undersized, he's got everything except that. The strength is the big problem there. 60 strength, that's going to be hard to develop. But he's like max intangibles, so, maybe if he hits the weight room and you've got him signed to a contract, and so it's worth just keeping him on the roster spot and see what he does. But that guy's definitely going to be on the practice squad right away for the Broncos. So on to pick 14. That's going to be the Seahawks. That's going to be Charlie Short out of Tulane. Defensive end, 272 pounds, decent size. Like his speed, wants to tick that up. His endurance isn't great. So this is a guy that you could platoon him into like some 3-3-5, get him on third down situations, and then get him out of the game. So I definitely want to rotate him until I saw this endurance tick up. But you've got a solid platoon player that can already play in the league, in my opinion, just because of that speed. So you got yourself a decent speed edge rusher that will develop. You can start getting him some time right now, but his endurance really is suspect, and that, it's low enough that you may not be able to get it high enough to get him really significant playing time. So on to the Giants at pick 15. Then we got one more, and we're all finished up. So Kerry Hopper, quarterback out of Tennessee for the Giants. Who's got Tennessee right now? So solid. He's going to need to get some work done on some things. His endurance is low. His arm's a little bit low, but he can run. So We'll see if they try to incorporate him into some running situations, but don't love that strength. But he does have higher hands than you typically see out of, like QB Sears out of Utah, who got taken earlier. His hands were really low. This guy has better hands, so I think he'll fumble a lot less, but maybe it balances out with the strength being low for Hopper. So project for sure. Intangibles are great. Knows how to play the position, but needs to improve endurance. So that's going to take us to 16, and that's going to be the Eagles again. Let's see who they take with their mid-round pick as they drop back to number 3 earlier. So that's going to be Donald Owens, defensive tackle out of San Diego State, 305 pounds, 21 years old, good strength, but he's going to be another guy that probably ends up in a platoon situation just because his endurance isn't great. So I'd probably try to get him out of the game, get him in spots, but he'd be in the rotation for sure, but I'd make sure to get him ample rest. Half as much time as you'd play a starter, basically. So that's going to conclude second round picks 1 to 16. I'll pick it up again tomorrow. I had slated on the schedule to do it in the morning. I'll plan to